Today we're going to talk about fantasy pre-approvals and what you need to know when you're moving out of state. So before we start, I'm a lender licensed in 48 states. More than happy to help. Feel free to reach out. But this video is very important because I've been seeing people for really since 2020 move across the country. It's very common now. The American mindset that you need to live where you were born has shifted dramatically over the last few years. And a lot of this is due to being able to work remote, but also the cost of living is driving people to other parts of the country. We've seen huge migration into Texas and into Florida and a few other states, and this is driven by affordability as well as lifestyle. So let me tell you about my conversations with people when they're moving to a different state. Now, first of all, if you're on a pension, if you're retired, you get Social Security, VA disability, VA pension, right? If you have fixed income, easy. Let's get you qualified. Let's figure out where you want to go in America. That's one of the fun things about being licensed in 48 states is sometimes I'll have a client and they'll start here, then they decide they want to go here, and then they end up here, okay? It's very fun. So if you have a fixed income, it's really easy. You want to make sure that you're working with a lender that's licensed in multiple states unless you know the state you're going to, okay? If you do not have a fixed income, the first question I'm going to ask you is, can you work remote, okay? And if you go, yeah, kind of. So here's the thing. With remote work, I'm going to have to verify with your employer that you can work remote. If they will not put it in writing, we are going to have a problem. So really be aware that if you're a remote worker that's going to move to another state, and maybe, we've seen a lot of situations where it was for COVID, but they haven't really done anything with it yet, but they won't commit to it. They need to be able to say you can work remote. The second thing we're going to be verifying with the employer is we're going to be asking the employer if moving to another state is going to affect your income. And you may be like, why would it? It's the same job and I'm just working from a different house. Yeah, we saw some banks do that and it was pretty savage. So basically it was people moving from like New York, New Jersey, and they were moving to more affordable places in the country. And their employers were like, great. You don't get that New York salary anymore. Now you get an Ohio salary or wherever they were moving to. So if you're thinking, okay, I work remote, I can live wherever I want, that very well may be true, but it's worth it, A, to see if your employer would verify it in writing, and B, if it would affect your pay. Okay, I was talking to Alyssa on my team who chats with a bunch of you guys on the front end. She was telling me that she's seen it with tech workers now, that with some tech companies, if you leave the Bay Area, if you leave the Seattle and you're not going to, let's say, one of their Austin locations, you're going somewhere else in the country, that they are decreasing your pay. So definitely ask about that. Now, what I'll hear sometimes is, well, I'm going to get a job when I get there. And that doesn't work. I mean, look, it sounds logical. Like maybe you've been a nurse for 20 years and you're like, I can be a nurse anywhere. It's not that hard. Yeah, here's the thing. In order to close the loan, we have to verify that you have a job lined up. And that's where people really get, I would say, upset. Like I've been yelled at a couple times over it. And it's like, look, they don't want to put a loan on a house where we don't know that you have stable income near it, right? Because what if you buy a house, in XYZ town and you can't find a job within 2 hours and the only job you can find is over here and it's not remote, right? So you've got to get the job lined up. And if you're like, okay, I have someone who may hire me, is that enough? No. In order to use the income, we need a non-contingent job offer letter. So what does that mean? It's a job offer letter with a start date. It's a job offer letter that isn't contingent on you passing a test or passing licensing. It is a solid job offer. With that, we can use that income to qualify you. Now, if you're like, okay, I'm going to transfer. Okay, cool. We're going to need a transfer letter from your employer that has approved the transfer that doesn't affect your pay before we close that loan. Because sometimes people are like, oh, well, transfer can take like 6 months. I don't know when it will get approved, but they'll do it. Guys, we got to have proof before closing. And this isn't just me, because sometimes people are like, oh, it's you. It's not. Guys, these are the guidelines. You know, I've had far too many situations, that was emphatic, but it's true, where I get a call from a buyer and they're like, hey, I'm supposed to close in a week, and the lender just asked me for a job offer letter. And I'm like, okay, where are you moving from? I'm moving from New Jersey. Where are you moving to? Georgia. What do you do? I'm a nurse. Okay, like, who approved? Like, didn't the lender tell you this up front? No. The lender didn't tell them up front. Oh, and it's crazy to me. And it's like, we're talking, we do team calls all the time. And I was talking to Alyssa and Sandy. And Sandy was telling me about a buyer. She's like, Jen, you're not even going to believe this. And I'm like, what? She's like, I was on the phone with a client today and they want to move to, I think it was Colorado. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know, can they work remote? What's the deal? She's like, Jen, they need to get jobs there. They don't have jobs yet. And this XYZ lender, who's a huge VA lender, right? They advertise everywhere. They gave them a pre-approval letter. So these people are spending money to fly to this state to go house shopping with a pre-approval letter that is a piece of garbage, right? And that's the thing. People go, well, wait, why would they give them the letter? Because the lender that answered the phone, guys, doesn't know what they're doing. And that's what I think people miss a lot, is they'll talk to someone like me, or they'll see this video and they'll be like, okay, I need to get all this. Then they'll talk to another lender who will not talk about any of this. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess I can do it then. Guys, the underwriter is going to be the one that tells them exactly what I said. There are so many people cosplaying as lenders who maybe close 5 or 10 loans a year, you know, or they just work at a call center. If they work at a call center, guys, it's not their job to know guidelines. It's their job to get you to fill out an app and to get your foot in the door. And then if they shove that door and close it and break your foot, it doesn't matter, because they're a call center. Their business isn't based on referrals. It's based on making the phone ring, right? I have these videos because, and we talk about this on the phone. I don't want you wasting your money. I don't want you flying out to a state to go house shopping and writing offers on houses that you won't be able to close on because you don't have a job there yet and you don't have any sustainable income. Why would I want you to waste your money, right? I am not so desperate for a loan that I'm gonna harm you. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing, you know, the call center guys, they have all these, you know, requirements. How many apps did you get? How many pre-approvals? Like, it's like a factory mindset. Whereas where I operate from is, hey, let's do this right so that you don't waste your money or your time, you know? And sometimes people are like, I really want to move to XYZ. And we have the whole job talk, right? And they start looking for jobs then, because a lot of times they haven't looked for jobs yet. And there's certain parts of a country, I'm going to use a nurse again. Look, a nurse in California versus a nurse in Florida, the pay is dramatically different. Okay? And that's what you need to know. And that's different professions, right? It's not just nurses. I guess I'm fixated on them today, but look, a lot of different professions, you get paid differently based on where you are in the country. So it's important that you recognize that, because assuming that, you know, what you get paid in California or New York is what you're going to get paid in Ohio or Texas, or, I mean, in fairness, Ohio and Texas are actually growing rapidly with really good job opportunities. So those probably aren't the best examples, but you get where I'm going, right? You need to do your research, okay? So look, do I think moving out of state is possible? Yeah, we do it every day, guys. We do it every day. I actually moved out of state. I left California in the beginning of 2023. I lived in California my entire life and I moved to Florida. I've been through it. You know, we've helped hundreds of clients move to more affordable areas. There's a lot of great opportunity in America right now in places you wouldn't normally think of. So I think it's a noble goal to try to find somewhere you can comfortably live, where you want to live, where you want to come home. I love that. And it's doable. We just got to put the puzzle pieces in place. So look, I hope this video was helpful. Questions, comments. You want to plan to move out of state. Guys, get on the calendar. I cover this in every video, and I know I'm kind of like harping on it now, but I literally pay Sandy and Alyssa to answer your questions all day long. Whether you buy this year, next year, 2 years from now, they will walk you through it. They're both very experienced. This is not a call center thing. So let's get you where you want to be home, but let's get you there the right way. Thanks for watching.